We turn now to the latest on the investigation into the mass shooting in Philadelphia's Grays Ferry neighborhood. Detectives are now trying to identify the 3 gunmen who shot 12 people, killing 3 of them early Monday morning. Action News reporter Sharifa Jackson joins us live from police headquarters. And Sharifa, Action News just got an update from Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel.
Yeah, that's right. We did, Nydia. He says there's a lot of surveillance video, a lot of cell phone video that they have to sort through. But because of this, they have a lot of significant leads as they continue to search for those suspects.
We're going through our process. Homicide is, methodically going through the evidence.
This is the new flyer shared by Philadelphia police overnight. Detectives are pointing out these 3 shooters, one with what they say has a distinctive backpack, another image showing a profile shot of this shooter's face. This ring video is part of the police investigation. It shows the intense exchange of gunfire on the 1500 block of South Edding Street just before 1 a.m. Monday. In all, police say 12 people were shot. 3 of them died, including 19-year-old Jason Reese, 23-year-old Zahir Wiley, and 24-year-old Azir Harris. Action News spoke to Harris's father.
They took a piece of me that was hard to fill that space.
During this emotional interview, he shared how Azir survived a drive-by shooting when he was 17 years old. He was left paralyzed and in a wheelchair, but he didn't let that stop him, advocating for gun violence survivors ever since.
He had a big heart to be his age, and he thought outside the box so much. He wanted more than just a wheelchair. He wanted more. He wanted more life.
Police hoping to drum up tips and bring peace to the Harris family and everyone else impacted by this mass shooting, as Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel vows.
We continue to emphasize our work around gun violence and really being effective in going after individuals with guns and holding those individuals accountable.
Yeah, many of the injured, they remain in the hospital today. The youngest victim, only 15 years old. Again, police, they continue to investigate. We're live from Philadelphia Police Headquarters. Sharifa Jackson, Channel 6, Action News. Tam?
All right, Sharifa, thank you for that.
That's what you was talking about, right, Doc?
Yeah, man. They said it's one of the deadliest weekends in Philadelphia history. It's just crazy. And then, I think this go back to what, just the last topic we was on. Some of these kids is living in this environment and it ain't nowhere else for them to go. You see the dude who they showed his face, he got a switch on his, you know what I'm saying? And it's jumping. He ain't really got, you know what I'm saying? He not the greatest shot. You know what I'm saying? Some of these kids, they don't go home to a situation where they even gonna have a chance to see themselves grow up to check out their dreams. So when they go to school, it's kind of like a foregone conclusion for a lot of these kids. And I don't know what the solution is on how to change it. You know what I'm saying? It's a big change. Something need to be done. You know what I'm saying? People need to be more active in the community and stuff like that. But, this is the reality for a lot of people who live in these low income neighborhoods and these type of environments. That's what they're going home to. That's a regular day. So
for sure. Mia, you was trying to talk about something good that a cop did. You could maybe tie that to like this and like what can cops do to like help resolve this? Can it be like prevention where it's a neighborhood cop and he gets to know the community? Like, what do you think?
So just to touch base on the story, essentially there was a young teenage boy who his membership to a gym that had basketball courts and stuff like that had run out, and he kept kind of sneaking in. And after the 3rd or 4th time that the manager of this facility caught him, they're like, hey, if you catch him again, call the police. Well, they caught him again. They called the police. However, the police officer, after hearing the kid and recognizing something in him, actually paid for 3 months of a gym membership for this young man so he could go play basketball. So he didn't end up on the streets because he recognized that's what this young man wanted to do. That's what this teenager wanted to do. He just wanted to play basketball. He just wanted to be at the courts, and he obviously just wanted to be someplace safe. So the police officer, instead of arresting him, actually took out his wallet and paid for 3 months of this membership. And then the actual company that owns the facility ended up giving this kid, I think, an entire year's free membership as well once they heard what happened. So, you know, for me, it was just like, it's nice to hear a positive story about police, because there are good, decent people out there that do want to do good for the community. I think we're at a disadvantage in the Black community because so many bad things have happened with people in power that we all naturally distrust people in power. I mean, there's a famous quote from our president saying, you know, if the government comes to you and says, we're here to help, you need to fear them. Because it's true. We've seen multiple times through multiple agencies that, you know, they're not always there to help depending on the situation. However, I feel like we need to fix the lack of family culture. The police can patrol, they can do outreach. We've sunk billions of dollars in these communities all over the United States. I mean, billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars over the last 6 years we have sunk. But the only thing we haven't changed is the culture. So it doesn't matter how much money we throw, how much funding we give. If we don't change our culture within ourselves, parent our children better, why are we marching when a police officer unalives someone, but there's no march for this? We see this every day. Why is the community that lives there not marching? Why are we not marching for this? These are things that could help change our community. People in that community know exactly who those shooters are, but they don't turn them in, even though they know they have unalived 3 people and injured 9 others. They're not turning them in. So I think a lot of it comes down to culture. We need to change ourselves and go back to almost Black Panther ways, where we actually took care of the community. We made sure we were good. We held each other accountable. We did our own neighborhood watch of sorts. Like, if we don't start policing ourselves and start doing better, there's nothing the federal government can do for us. They can give us all the money in the world, but if we don't change how we view our community and how we view our neighbors and actually want to be neighborly and want to make sure kids are safe, nothing's going to change.
Heaven, what do you think?
I feel like I have an interesting perspective, because I was that kid who was out in the street, who had a weekend dad and a non-existent mother, and married a crack dealer at 17 and was on the run from the feds. Sometimes, majority of times in those situations, the kids don't even know how to love themselves to get themselves out of that. And it takes a village. And there are police officers that are, well, at least in my experience, there were 2 police officers that I will remember for the rest of my life. Officer Hardy and Officer Moses, and they used to come and they knew the kids that got the free lunch, and they'd give us money for ice cream because we didn't have the money for ice cream, and the other kids always got the ice cream, so they'd give us a little money for ice cream. And I think that the police are dangerous, and I don't blame the community for not calling and telling, because they do know those children, I'm absolutely sure, but those look like children to me. The human brain isn't fully developed until 25, 26 years old. So had those children had a proper community, it takes a village. That's not just a saying, that's a fact. It takes a village. It takes someone outside of the immediate family for a child to go to when they don't feel like they can talk to their parent or whoever is around, because that does happen. No one's perfect. But if we had those communities set up, if we had that family structure, in whatever family we create, sometimes it's not always the ideal family. but we can create support for these communities. The community that I live in currently is extremely underfunded. And these kids need a lot of support, and they're not getting it, and the teachers are tired, and the cops are underpaid, and abusive in nature. In their establishment was abuse in general.
Enzo?
So I mean, I have another perspective on it too. I don't think it's even just a low income issue, or like some people were saying in the chat, like a black culture thing or a hood culture thing. Take it from me, somebody who grew up very affluent until 2008, 2009, when the financial crisis hit and my dad lost everything. At that time, my dad became an addict on drugs and everything like that, and that's when everything started going downhill. My teenage years, I was out there with them doing the same shit too. I'm not just some prissy little white kid that had everything handed to him my entire life. No, I was out there in the streets, fucking doing the exact same shit, running with bad kids. And it took until I was like 17, 18, 19 years old to really get out of that, because of the bosses that I had that took me under their wing and said, this isn't going to be your life. Like, you need to straighten out your shit and stop thinking like this is the only way to get around. Mentors are the biggest thing outside of your family, like Kevin was saying. And I attribute everything to my old bosses, Nick, and then Christina, Tom, everybody that I worked with that took me in when I was 17 years old, gave me a job and taught me everything I know and got me out of that mindset. Because if I would have kept going down that mindset, I don't realistically think I would have been here today. So I mean, it's a sad thing for young kids to be doing all this in the street and everything like that. But if you don't have the right guidance, sometimes that's all you guys know, and it doesn't matter if it's you're coming from a white community, black community, people with money, people with no money. Like a couple kids that I grew up with, prominent hockey stars, got into the street life. Two of them are in jail. One of them's dead, and the one that was dead was being scouted at 13 years old by the Florida Panthers to be a goalie. Lost his life at 17.
Wow.
Threw his life away like that. All because of drugs and this the lifestyle like that. So it's an unfortunate thing, and I really do think parents need to do better, or kids need to find mentors, or people do more in the communities, in every community, to help out more, so stuff like this doesn't happen. It's sad to see this stuff happening in Philly and all these other cities. Doesn't just because it happened in Philly doesn't mean it doesn't happen everywhere else. Like, you can go look across the United States, everywhere. That's just not publicized, and not a lot. Nobody talks about that. Nobody wants to talk about that. But now it's being publicized again. Like, this happens all the time, and now we're going to make a big deal out of it. No, we should be making a big deal out of it, going to these communities, helping everybody out, regardless.
For sure.
I just want to. We got a dude in the chat, but Wani said personal responsibility never went out of style. Poverty is not an excuse. So when we say something like poverty, Bawani, I think you don't understand. Like, so I grew up in this neighborhood, so I share something that I don't usually put on screen. Greasy know I've been indicted and brought in for murder before, and I actually beat the charges. I have I give a whole, a thing about that. But when I'm living in a community where somebody tell me what they're gonna do to me, they're not playing with me. They're not saying, So what I do if I'm a kid and I come out these streets and I'm 15, 16 years old, and he tell me he gonna, push my hat back when he see me. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no police you could tell for that. They don't want to hear that. It ain't nothing you can say. I gotta live here every day. And when I come out the door, that's going to be what it is. We're going to handle it like that. And it don't matter how strong your mind is. It don't matter what you know. It ain't nowhere to go. And that's just the reality. We dead broke. My cousin live around the corner in this same, in this same community. Well, I'm going to go around the block to my auntie house. We all live out here. So that's a reality for some kids. And it's not kids' first time. That kid was in a wheelchair. He'd already been shot before. Everybody on that porch, that probably wasn't their first time. That was just a Friday night, a Saturday night. And they're going to get up and they're going to have to do it again. Yeah, no, police don't want to hear that somebody wants to unalive you, Bawani. Not in the hood. They don't care.
Heaven, what you
They
was gonna
don't. Two things. One, all the police would do is say that they can do a restraining order if you feel scared. Which, yeah, okay. Right. But one thing that did catch me, I'm really big on words and what words people use. And in what the was that the police chief was saying, he wasn't specifically talking at one point about those guns and those children. He said gun owners, just straight gun owners, which for me, I'm a big Second Amender. I like the Second Amendment. It raised a little red flag for me. So that just kind of